Hey guys, Dominic Lewis here from Focus Camera, and I'm actually in Paris, France today because I'm on vacation, but I'm also trying out the brand new Fujifilm X-T3, which is the latest in the X-T series. This is the third variant of the X-T. Nothing really physically changed about this camera besides, we have an improved eyepiece here, sticks out a little bit farther, and improved diopter, which now pulls out. But this camera is pretty much physically the same as the previous two cameras, but the big changes are what's internal. So now you have a 26 megapixels X-Trans CMOS 4 sensor, which also comes with a 425 point hybrid AF system. This thing is crazy. You've improved AF tracking with face and eye detection, and also it shoots 20 frames per second in AF, and also has another feature which does 30 frames per second in a 1.25 crop. So on top of that crop that's already built into the camera, it has another crop that you can shoot even faster. This thing has a 3.69 million dot electronic viewfinder with a 3-axis tilting, and it's touchscreen now. So besides that, video wise, this thing shoots H.265 internal video capture, which goes up to 4K 60 frames per second. There's also a feature where you can do 1080p and do 120 frames per second, and this thing, when you're shooting and doing actual slow motion with this, it's incredible. I can't even explain. Besides that, it also has a dual UH2 SD card slot, and now it uses a newer, faster USB Type-C connector, which you can also use to charge your battery. So when I first was using this camera, I went to the actual release launch party, which is actually a roller derby, and I got to shoot a lot of video with this. I've seen how it looked in low light, and this thing is absolutely amazing. It captures low light so well. But one thing I didn't get to try a lot was taking pictures with it, which is mainly what I do. I'm a street photographer, and I love to just take pictures of people on the street. So I'm going to be taking this camera out on the streets of Paris today to do quite a bit of street photography. I'm actually going to be using mainly this 23mm f1.4 lens, besides the 18 to 55, which I have on the body right now. This 23mm is closer to around the 35mm, which is my favorite focal length, especially for street photography. It just captures things very well, and you kind of get to just think in that one space using your feet as your zoom. Hey guys, I'm standing outside of Moulin Rouge, and I'm ready for this walking tour. I have about 30 minutes, so I'm going to go over little things that I used to do when I do street photography. So the reason why I chose to use a 23mm today, like I mentioned before, it's very similar to a 35mm equivalent, which I feel like is more accurate to your normal eye than a 50mm is, which is kind of tight. I have great peripheral vision, so using a 23mm gets me that huge wide range. It's not as wide as I'd say a 24mm would be, but it's very close to what I like to shoot. When I'm also shooting, I like to shoot in aperture priority. So that means that I set my shutter speed to automatic, so it chooses my shutter speed for me, and I go ahead and I just choose my aperture so I can get the shot however I want it to do. So it makes me a lot easier when I'm shooting. Also, it's good for when you're doing zone focusing. So with zone focusing, I'm shooting when I use manual focus, but if you ever looked on your lens, you see you have a little built-in scale right here. And this scale, most people don't know what it means, but the reason for this scale is, if you see, it has numbers, okay? So it has 4 to 4, 8, 11, 16. So anything within that range, or depending on what your aperture is set to, you'll keep everything in focus by keeping it within that range. Pretty much what I'm doing today, and I'm just gonna be like having fun, gonna do a lot of shooting. Try to shoot as much as I can so you guys can really tell the quality of what this camera can produce. So I'm gonna get ready for this tour. Probably gonna get something to eat real quickly. Looks like my batteries are already dying on my camera. So I'm gonna charge that for a bit, and I'll see you guys. So the next stop on our tour is going to be Arc de Triomphe, the Arc de Triomphe. We're going to the Arc, the giant Arc. And see if this is probably good another spot to take good pictures at. There's plenty of opportunities to take pictures anywhere you walk in Paris. I mean, just from the architecture, the buildings, actually this right here, this is amazing. All right, so we're heading to the big Arc. If you're an avid street photographer like I am, and if you study some of the great street photographers of the past, like you should, you've probably heard of the photographer Henri Cartier-Bresson. So the one thing about Bresson is he was a street photographer in the early 20th century that captured Paris in a time that was much different than it is today. And he actually coined a term called the decisive moment. And basically the decisive moment refers to that specific moment in history, an event that can never be recreated. So with that term, he pretty much wanted people to understand that when you're capturing something, a moment of time, these are things that can never be recreated again. That's a decisive moment. But in Bresson's day, he was shooting with cameras that, of course, you had one autofocus point, well, no autofocus points. It was all manual focus. With the advent of technology, we actually have a lot more than that. So with this camera, the Fuji X-T3, you actually have 425 autofocus points. And then you also have up to 30 frames per second. So it's kind of impossible to miss a moment. Along with Henri Cartier-Bresson's decisive moment, I'm gonna be doing a little street photography today. I'm gonna have a little action cam attached so you guys can see exactly what I do. I'm actually in a park in France, and I'm gonna take a little bit of pictures. Hopefully we can capture one of those decisive moments that Bresson was talking about. Finally made it to the Arc de Triomphe, but it seems like there's some type of military ceremony going on, so we won't be able to get much closer than we are right now. I'm gonna take a couple pictures here. Let's see. So that's about it. I think I'm gonna head to the Eiffel Tower next, because that's my next stop. The sun is starting to set, so hopefully we can get some nice twilight images when this golden hour hits. So guys, I made it to the Eiffel Tower, and it is a perfect sunset right now. Look at those colors behind me. I'm gonna get a really good shot with the Fuji X-T3 because one of the good presets that it has built in is Velvia. And Velvia, if you don't know, is like one of the greatest films that you can use for landscape and also architectural photography. All right, let me set my shot up to do a nice sunset picture. So I'm gonna try to silhouette this as much as possible. I'm shooting at the lowest ISO that I can get into the camera, which is, I'm at ISO 80 right now. I'm at 60th of a second, and I'm at 3.6. Let's do 3.2 so I can get a little more detail in the shadows there. So we're gonna see how this shot looks. Wow. So another feature this camera has is it has a built-in panorama mode. So I'm gonna do a sweeping panorama from this way to that way. See if I can capture this entire view here. So I'm going to start from like right here. I'll turn my focus off. All right, so focus on the Eiffel Tower first. Turn my autofocus off, and this thing just snaps away. All right, let's see how that looks. Ooh, and it actually makes a video of it too. Yo, I did not know it does that. That must be a new feature. I don't know if the X-T3 did that. But I'm gonna head down to the base of the Eiffel Tower so I can get a little more pictures before it gets too dark. Hopefully I can get there in time because it's actually setting pretty quickly. All right, guys. I've made it to the last and final stop of our tour. I always wanted to see this thing in person. This place is absolutely beautiful at night. It lights up, it's a nice reflection in the water. So because it's still dark, this is the perfect time for me to test the high ISO capability of the Fujifilm X-T3. I'm gonna be shooting at some pretty ridiculous ISOs. Try 3200, 6400. Let's pretty much see what we can get. I'm trying to make this look as cool as possible. I mean, it's very brightly lit. If I do this the right way, then it can look really cool. That was my day in Paris shooting with the Fujifilm X-T3. I would have to say I'm thoroughly impressed with this camera. I actually I didn't think that we needed an upgrade to the X-T2 until I got my hands on this camera and saw that all the little small things that kind of bothered me with the X-T2, they happened to fix. Like that adjusting the adapter thing was a big thing. I did mess that up a lot because it did move a lot when I was just walking around with it, and I would just accidentally move the adapter, and then all my images are out of focus, and I'm just like, what's going on? Am I going blind? But that's a great thing they did fix. I'm glad about that. And moving the eyepiece out a tiny bit more so that way my nose isn't touching the screen when I'm shooting with it. But I would have to say that this is a great camera to get. If you're a street photographer, this is a camera for you. I really wouldn't think there's anything else better to use for street photography than this. It feels very similar to a lot of the old SLRs that were used back in the days. But if you have any questions and concerns, comments, please leave them in the section below so that way I can get back to you and tell me what you guys think of this video. So I have to go now. I'm gonna go catch a train back to my hostel because I have to catch a flight in the morning to go back to Barcelona so that way I can catch a flight back to America. But thank you very much, guys. See you later.